welcome to Josef's Model Railway and Toy Room. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You don't need to like, follow, or subscribe to any of the videos I put out there. Put them out there where I can. Have a holly jolly great time doing so. And if I look excited, it's because I am. Because guess what? We've had another delivery. Needless to say, there's a whole bunch I still need to talk to you about in other videos, but this is one we've all been waiting on. Let me grab it. Oh, yes, indeed. We've had a delivery come in, and I'm excited because this contains what we need to get on with our fiddle yard. And it has taken a long time to get here. And this has traveled a couple of times around the world, and eventually it's made its way here safely. So let's open it up, check out what we've got inside, and get started back to the fiddle yard progress. All right. Okay. Oh yes. Yes, this all checks out to look right. Bits, pieces, something, whatevers. Okay, well, let's get started now. I guess the first thing is we need to quickly talk about would be this digital power track. But I did want to make mention that there is a difference between this particular model for digital and the other one. And I think it's to do with a resistor, capacitor, oh, I can't remember. Look, professionals can tell you, get on the Hornby forums. That's what I did, and you'll find my post there. But we do need to use this one, so we're just going to mark it accordingly. Also, can I just pay really special attention to these track clips that were available? We're still having a hard time tracking it down on the Hornby forum, but basically you would be able to take two sections of track together and join them up, and as we're not pinning or locking this down officially, the clips would just hold it together nicely. I've spoken to a few people about printing and manufacturing it with not much success. But I think it is a good way to go, and anyone that knows information, please do get in touch with me. And here we are. But just to confirm, this in the situation on the back of the fiddle yard, this is where it would be sitting. I need this to be red. That's good enough for me. Keep this one aside. I'm not sure if we're going to need it or not for the minute, or it needs to go another orientation. That's the original plan we're working on. Just some Tamiya paint we'll use on this. If you can see this, I can't. So we're just going to work our way on trying to get this thing on. Oh, so what we're going to do, this area up here, as it gets into position, and I can get my hand down a bit further. As you can see, this is my predicament. I can't really get space in here. And as we keep going up, I really got some problems. But once it's in a bit further down with a few more lengths, we'll put a pin or something in to butt it up so it's not moving. So as you can see, coming a bit further down, I've got a bit more room, but I still can't get my head into position to see what you're going to see now. So as we make our way down now to the third length, again, I'm buying a bit more space here, as you can see, but still not enough I can comfortably see. But we'll just quickly point out that as we come down now, this is where the curve needs to break out. So hopefully I've still got enough. I'll do this with short pieces so we can pin from here and lock it, because what we need to do next is I still need to get a power feeder, because ironically right there is a track feeder. So we can take power and drop it straight in, which is the perfect point to link these sections up. Sorry I didn't film that one, but that just slipped together absolutely perfectly. And I'm still happy with going set track down here. I think this is giving a good result. As you can see, traveling up, certainly getting a nice consistent straight there that we can quite easily pull apart if need to, especially for track cleaning. That's where we need to get a pin. I'm not going to push it down too hard at the minute because I'm not sure if we need a little wiggle room left or right. Just over to our drawer of cable at the moment, and while we usually use this for the hookup cable, I think we might just take a little, this is what we used for our actual bus wire, because we can keep it joined as one, which will just look a little more elegant, I think, going through. Snip some of that up. This is the other thinner stuff we've been using for, well, everything else on the layout, really, accessories and what have you, and that's great stuff, but this application definitely will use this. Well done to those of you that spotted the mistake. Of course, this is following the loop around, which means it comes on the back way, meaning black to track has to be this side and red will face out. We've just installed our first one up into the section at the moment, as seen in this picture, and that is correct. So I did catch it before I carried on when I thought about it carefully, which just means we have to repaint these accordingly. And there we go, another crisis averted. And as you can see here, I just tapped that sleeper there, so I know. You can't really see it from the angle, it's more about me, and if I'm ever having to test something, I know what's going where. So here's our curve at the moment, but we're gonna have to come in and solder the twos just a little bit, not as tight as the others on that joint and as it's sitting into place. So just give it a little helping hand. As we wriggle it in, then we can secure it down. Now I did just take a file and I'm just going to make the solder on the outside across the bottom. Also, no one's going to see this because there's a little lip just above the edge of it. So you really, even if you try and look for the solder, you're not going to find it unless you lift the track out. Let's have a quick update on where we're up at the moment. So in 10 minutes, we have achieved this. And this was always the plan of attack, that we're just using our Woodland Scenics foam nails and just puncturing them down. So even in this little retaining wall, if we really look closely, you'll see where I've got these pins. Now, if I need to move and take it out, we just simply lift and pull that pin directly out. So I think it's not a bad way to go. And as you can see, the track is again, I can't see it. This camera is the first time I've ever seen it where it is. You can see I've put a couple of these pins just in the middle to hold it. Everything's nice and secure here. Let's just take an older coach at the moment. That's not interfering with anything. Will it with some others? I don't know. We can change it and put something else down. And once this has sort of found its home, securing it doesn't become that important. But I think, as you can see, it looks pretty good. Again, as we come to the top here where it's joining on, you can see where we've just put a few anchor pins to hold it into position, because we may still need to do some adjustments and some tweaking. But certainly at the moment, and look, you can see here where I've just got one sitting. This definitely looks far too close to the wheel. It's not causing a problem. But if it is, that's only a simple matter of giving it a little twist here and there as necessary. There's the power feeder. Whoa. And at this angle where you are here, you can see the solder at the moment. As again, I haven't finished that. We need to decorate this bit too. Well, let us now just appreciate that mighty fine incline, and now it's time we start organising these power feeders in for this part of the track at the moment. I'm actually only going to do two, and here we are just noodling them up at the moment. It's also a great opportunity now to refresh our memory and look at that original track plan of what we're about to assemble here. I think we really are staying pretty much to where it was. Just really quickly, for those of you that aren't aware about DCC electric clips for Hornby Points, I want to quickly point this out for those of you that are following the channel. The first thing is, as most of you are aware, I'm happy to use insular frog points, meaning basically as soon as you switch the track from one way, this section then becomes isolated, so you could store a train here, and then as soon as you flick the point over, then you can run it back. So if you had a siding or something, and it works really well for me and I like it. But being DCC, I actually need both sections to be running. And that's why we use these little clips that will just act to create the power to run on either side. Now on the other side of the layout, on the main bit, I used Peco. Same principle. This is of course the insular frog point. As you can see, we have the insulated section there. But what I wanted to point out, and as I've done videos on and you've seen when I did it, what I actually did for these particular points is that we take a section, not on the bit that moves here, but pretty much the next bit up, and there's a notch literally here that's guiding you, and there's a bit, we snip the rest of the plastic away, and I just take a piece of wire and then I trim it and then solder it to both here and to here, which gives us this beautiful connectivity for your red and black wire, depending. You don't have to do it, but obviously it gives because the electrical flow is already sorted out. But the most important thing is it's just a beautiful bit of continuity for that electrical connection. So we're not doing the Peco one today. So these are our Hornby points, which are basically an insular frog point. There it is, and we're just going to work with that. And of course Hornby do it nice and easy, as we've discussed. Why we're doing this on the Fiddle yard, everything is very, very plug and play. And really, while the Peco point or Peco track work in my situation, code 100, is far superior to the Hornby stuff, there is nothing wrong with the Hornby stuff. Why would they be selling it? It will do you very, very comfortably. And for an area here that's not doing a lot of heavy work, this is a tremendous solution. My original Hornby track mat did use these wonderful clips, and I got many, many years out of them. So don't be disheartened. But if I just bring it up to the camera now, you should be able to see this wonderful little clip that, of course, if we just do apply a little bit of tension to it, you'll see it's got a bit of a spring to it. Whoops. That being said, it's quite simple when it comes to installing. I'm going to bring it in nice and close now so you can see. Always a bit tricky doing it with the camera, but I'll do my best. You may need a pair of tweezers or something. Generally you don't. Well, let's try and anchor you in. You're going to need to mount one here, and respectively the other one here. And of course the good thing about the piece of guide rail here, that'll stop it from sort of going anywhere. So it's not too bad and reasonably discreet. You're trying to just literally sit it into the gap of the track there. It should be nice and straight, not going anywhere, and sort of just disguised by that sleeper. And of course, you can paint it to make it disappear a little further. I haven't in the past, because over time, it just sort of got that little bit of coloring on it, and a little bit of oxidization, if you like. And I had no problems whatsoever. So once again, probably just line yourself on the flat bit and you'll know if it's sitting in the spot you need. And just here, they're reasonably discreet anyway. I've actually covered this in another video, and I've got some photos that show it that really side by side. And remember, these are brand new points. You're not really looking at it, and your focus isn't going to look for these little bits anyway until now that you've had them pointed out. You will certainly be aware of them, but it's not too bad. Anyway, that's what I'm going to carry on installing. Now, in a packet, you get 20. You're going to need 2 for every point. So the good news is, with a packet of 20, that's enough to do 10 points. And of course, there is your product code, R8232. So let's zoom you out now and get you on time lapse as we put the rest in. On this next bit, we're just going to use some of the long foam pins, and while they're going to stick out a bit, they're just going to anchor the end of the track down. So I know, well, we can get a reference point and get a laser on them, I think. again, nothing's too permanent here, but I think as you can see, we're basically just going to take a laser down to give us a rough idea that we're sort of staying, because I can't really see this looking on a top-down view, but it does look good, like an image straight out of the Hornby catalogue. Here we are, and it's not perfect by any means, but at least we do have the track laid. I've still got to come in and just fix up some of where the underlay is, but I'm not going to overthink it. You can see here I've just got one sticking up at the moment just to hold some things in shape. Now, before we start to get too carried away, we're going to have to test it. And also, once the weight of stuff starts sitting here, we don't really have to do too much. The design I'm very happy with, because I can easily pull it into change anytime we need to. So let's just start giving it a bit of an initial test. Remember, the only power feeds we have are just underneath the board. There you can probably see a little wire dropping down. Then, of course, there is just one here. So just as we start entering in, and we've got one that comes across and then fans out. So that's on the fifth line out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the sixth one here. Anyway, let's give this a little bit of a test, shall we? First of all, this was our little test one we've had sitting there. So without doing nothing, and I haven't even set any points, let's just see if it'll roll down and join the rest. You can see we've got a Class 08 here, which we've got on the farthest of the tracks here that has the power feed, which is just there. And there's the additional siding here, which wouldn't fit much in it. In fact, it would be good to actually store locomotives in it, and you could slide out and then join up to some longer rakes or whatever. It can't ever be as long as the entire length of this, since the feeding track coming this way isn't that long. However, what it does mean is easy things like Thomas the Tank Engine, which just has the 4-wheel coaches on it, you can just grab with your hands and sit it on top of the layout. So that's the whole idea with having them on track sitting there. Let's give it a little test, shall we? I'll do this using my phone, but I'm going to have a hard time recording from the phone and this. So let's just send it down this way for the minute, and I've got the controller in my other hand here. So this looks pretty good. No buffer stops down there yet. We'll send it back with a bit more speed. We haven't got all day. And we'll just let it carry on down the end there. And it's kind of also a point to some of you that don't really appreciate how many track feeders you may or may not need to do in this sort of situation. Well, we hit the end there. So no problems at all there. So now we're going to grab that coach and send it up and see what happens. Let's give this a bit of a test. Well, here we go. On the unofficial test, I suppose. Let's take this with just the one coach. We're just going to send it up and see if we can actually get it up there is the first thing. Also, just to note, we'll run it up at, I don't know, about half speed or thereabouts. Nothing has any of those magnets on it regarding the DCC Concepts power-based system. We'll just add them if we need them to whatever we're doing. I imagine we will. But in the minute, I'll have to cut the scene up into a few pieces, but let's see if we can get him up to the top now. Get you in just a fraction closer here as we commence that climb up. just under half speed. I'd probably say we're running at about 43, 45% maybe. And here's our spare Sergeant Wilson having a bit of a lay down. And let's see what happens as he comes up here. Again, we've still got to work around some landscaping here. Don't worry about these pins that are very dangerously close to it. And we've got a red signal, which I'm going to have to rush over and get to. Could have stopped it any quicker if I tried. Just managed to hit the point and have not even made it onto the point blade to move yet. That's how fine that timing had to have been for me to stop it right then and there. And you can see I put some in the middle. Now I don't know if those middle ones are going to be a big deal until we run other couplings and locos and things over them. These aren't too bad because that foam's nice and solid. That's definitely in place, so we don't have to worry much about that. And of course at the moment, which will come to the next section I'm going to talk to you about, is to do with these foam nail pins. And a concept I've come up with that I don't know if it's good, or that I can't tell you if it's good or not, but once we've got weight here, everything will be sitting quite nice. So I think this project has gone very, very well so far. Let me just share one more tip with you, something to take away from all this, and we'll get some trains in there. So just regarding our pins, let me just share something with you. The problem is, because we've got the track and this bit of Woodland Scenics foam and then our foam board, unfortunately, this particular pin, if we were to just puncture it down, sticks up because there we've hit the plywood. So it's just a fraction too long. So my top tip that I've been doing, I've just shortened it down a fraction. So if we take that one out, and compare the two, you can quite clearly see there's a little bit of a difference. Now, we'll go through what I'm doing to achieve that. I wouldn't recommend using your Xuron track cutters for that. But if we just pop this one back in, this gives a pretty nice little, and quick and easy way to lift it out. Unless this starts to move in time and could short, which is unlikely. But I haven't had any problems with it sitting at this height and nothing's bumped into it yet. But if it does, we'll swap it out. As I said, once the weight sort of comes down on things, and there's quite a bit of track sitting up here, so I think things are going to just sort of sort themselves out. Let me show you how we cut these up. So here you go. Here's a regular pin, and here's one we've modified. And if you actually can probably see closely, we've still got a bit of a spike on it to let it come in. So what are we using? We're definitely not going to be using these. Maybe you can, but it's for track cutting. I wouldn't muck around with anything else. We are just going to use your standard sort of tin snips. Now, first and foremost, get your eye protection on for this. I'm not even joking. Just hear any family member's story about them having shards of metal, steel or something like that in their eyeballs, and having it extracted is a bit like kidney stones. Have a glass of water. Just watch any YouTube video on kidney stone removal and you're going to have a drink straight away. So what are we doing? Well, basically there's no right or wrong to the size we're doing. I think if I'm doing a lot more of these, I'll find a faster way, but I've only needed maybe 3 at the moment of this. But basically there's no right or wrong. We're just literally going to cut a bit off. And so the whole idea is we're going to come along, safety specs on, and just on an angle here. And my recommendation is usually to keep well away from it, but try and keep 2 pieces secure, only for the simple fact we don't want it flying off somewhere. And as you can see, you've got a reasonable point there that should have no problem at all puncturing through any type of material. So that's pretty much the story. Now, I found some others, and I'm sure there's a more elegant one. I even saw one with a plastic head that was as long as this, but they basically want more than $1 for each of them, which I thought I can buy a pack of 100, or whatever this is, 50, for a few dollars. So anyway, I'm not saying it's not a great idea. and I dispose of the other sharp end straight away, which is what I'm going to do now. So that's what I did to get these modified ones, and they work just as well. So tin snips, good way to go. Don't use this. Safety glasses on, hold both pieces or secure them down, even if it's just with a bit of tape or something, and dispose of this. Well, girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the end of yet another video. It's always impossible to believe as the sun begins to set outside behind us now. Look, thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute hoot. This really is the project that is a bit bigger than I probably anticipated, but I'm really happy with some of those final pictures you saw there. The results are just fantastic. And that little initial test is just a taste into what will be coming for you. Again, we've got to sort of clear out a bit of room now and get a little bit more happening. Where from here? Well, we've still got a couple of little videos we need to fill in some blanks with some other projects that are going along to do with other things. So certainly over the next few videos, there may be a few with the trains, not with the trains, but that's the whole title of the channel and what it's all about. So it's not always trains, there's other things too. But as always, please do stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you in that next one. Toodles!